This is day 367 of Zohar Pshat. I'd like to begin today with digression, and if we have time, we'll get back into the Zohar itself. For the past several days, I've been doing uh, very intense stuff about Malachaim, and the question is what connection our Avodas Hashem can have to all this knowledge about Malachaim, whether it has ramifications for at least some of us in terms of our daily connection to Kodesh Baruch Hu and the Lomos Yonim, and the way to which it's possible for people to connect in our day and age, where we don't have very many Nevi'im who are able to have direct visions of Malachim. So I asked the person who is very much into this idea of Malachim what this person feels about these ideas and how this person experiences them. And this person wrote me back as follows. He wrote me in Hebrew, but I translated it into English here for the purpose of our Chabura here. And I'm going to read you the translation based on Google Translate of what he wrote. Angels are present in our lives even when we do not feel it at all. They come at the behest of the Creator for purposes such as guarding, protecting, and healing. It is accepted among many groups. Angels guard and protect babies, or in situations where there is a rescue from accidents, war, etc. On the other hand, there can be the presence of harmful beings that can be found in our environment or in space. The clean, pure connection to the angels is through the connection to the light of the Creator. There is no other connection. The simplest sign of being in the presence of the light is inner joy. Sadness or anger cannot be connected to the light of the Creator. The longer, the more prolonged, more permanent, and more stable our connection to the light of the Creator and the presence within the light are, perhaps through this, a sensitivity to the presence of the angels in our lives can develop. Presence meaning a kind of physical feeling that someone is present next to you, watching you as you study. You can feel a slight movement in the room, a whisper, a movement of wind in the curtain, etc. You look at the same place where you felt the movement. With your physical eyes, you do not see the angels, but the quiet and gentle presence can be felt. As we progress in connection with the light, we can begin to see very subtle and transparent movements of light, kinds of transparent vibrations of light, and this is an amazing thing. Of course, later we can see beyond that with our spiritual eyes. Usually, spiritual sight is received as transparent and illuminated. As we progress, the sights become clearer and more defined. But as mentioned, most of the time the sight received is transparent. Therefore, the beginning is recognition that this is a state that exists and is possible. I should read that line again. Therefore, the beginning is a recognition that this is a state that exists and is possible. And the development into the connection with the angels depends on our spiritual development. Personally, it's not me speaking, it's the person who's writing speaking, I could go through everything using the pendulum as a tool and as a kind of compass on the way. Okay, this is now me speaking. People use tools which, of course, to some of us seem strange, but to others of us seem to be things which work very well. And people have all sorts of mesoros as to what tools they can use. Obviously, I come from a Masor which there are no tools. Being half Yekka, half Litvak, we don't have any schools whatsoever, and we certainly don't have tools we can use, but evidently people who have connection to Kabbalah in different ways, shapes, and forms have these tools. Okay, so going back to what he's writing here. Personally, I go through everything using the pendulum as a tool, as a kind of compass on the way. So he uses a pendulum to connect and ask questions. After all, the channeling takes place through the angels of education and spiritual guidance. I believe that an ordinary person will not usually make the transition to this beautiful discourse on their own. This is a gradual process, and it's certainly possible and desirable to develop into this. And this is through learning, focusing on the matter, and channeling. If you're open to it and aware of it, then it is easy for it to arrive and to be received. Check if you already have had an experience where you felt that you were being watched, even though there was no one else in the room, etc. It is all a matter of understanding that there are angels walking among us, according to the roles they perform, a matter of development, courage, and request to connect. In more advanced discourse and through channeling, we do not say the names of the angels aloud. We only look at the names in the scriptures. Well, of course, we've mentioned that many times, and except for the name, me speaking, except for when the names are used in common usage, such as Azriel, Gabriel, Michael, we don't say the names. When we want to ask for something, the basic way is to ask God to tell the angel. This is me speaking again. Of course, we're not allowed to make direct requests from Malachim, although he later on says there is an exception to this rule. So we'll see momentarily. For example, when there are fires in the country, I say to God something like, "May God be with you." Ask the angel in charge of fire to put the fire. I'm not sure I translated that properly. That line, "May God be with you." Probably means, "May God be with the angel." Ask the angel in charge of the fire to put out the fire in whatever, fill in the blank. Ask the angel in charge of the country to calm the country. So you ask Kosh Baruch Hu to send the angel to do the right thing. To ask directly from an angel, this can only be possible if the angel is the one who creates the connection. He suddenly appears in my mind, or in a certain appearance or sign. I don't dare without a pendulum in my hand so as not to make a mistake, God forbid. Okay, so I'm not sure how that works. Again, theoretically, you should not be able to make any request of angels, but it could be that if a person is in a high enough madrega that an angel appears to him, we know that in the Kabbalah there's constantly being mashbia the malachim, which is considered to be a very dangerous and advanced procedure. But evidently there is such a thing if an angel does appear to Makubal, that they can somehow connect to the angel directly. I don't know how it works. Okay, this is going back to what this person is writing here. This is particularly important. If no connection is made with an angel on his initiative, I do not create a connection. He says here in the parentheses, they usually come. Angels are very pleasant, but it's most important to be sensitive and attentive to the situation, to understand and to be connected. Without a connection, this cannot be possible, but only to the other side. I'm not sure what that means. Again, I probably translated that inaccurately. Let's see if I can go back to the original and see what I might have meant by that. Or he might have meant by that to be more accurate. Yeah, it's not clear to me. But in the right, without the proper connection, Chas v'Shalom, the chibur can be to the Sitra Achra somehow. But I guess obviously on the right madrega, you can tell the difference. When there's a connection, this is the greatest thing a person can receive. So again, these are things which are above my pay grade, above any madrega that I've ever reached or possibly would attempt to reach. I don't really feel. Perhaps this is heretical for somebody who's learning Kabbalah. I don't feel the need to have that connection to Malachim. I perceive really want to understand what the Zohar is saying in an intellectual way as opposed to have a spiritual connection. But that's probably a shortcoming in me and probably something which I should try in the future to overcome. But evidently there are people, again, as this person is telling us, who are able to accomplish this type of connection, even as Manazan, learning about Malachim. Obviously for them will have a much more direct impact upon their avodas Hashem, and something which evidently makes these parts of the Zohar, which we're learning more lamaisa, because even if you don't fully understand them, as I say, the neshama understands, there's some idea of being immersed in the idea of malachim, which then allows you to connect somehow to those malachim. Okay, I hope that was helpful in some way, shape, or form. Tomorrow we'll continue with our regular approach towards the Zohar Kodesh.